I do want to apologize for the quality of the video. I noticed throughout the editing of it together that I was having severe frame drops and whatnot. Even though my iPhone, or not my iPhone, my Android phone, which is a Red Magic Pro 10, is basically a top tier gaming smartphone, its camera is still complete garbage because it's not an iPhone. So with that said, I'm going back to my iPhone 10XR, whatever the heck this thing's called, and I'm just going to use this for the time being. It's still going to be 4K 60, but it's going to be a lot more smoother. With that said, it's been a few days now, and I want to start working on getting everything kind of situated. So what I want to do with her for right now is I want to figure out a solution for attaching the, give me a sec, for attaching the head to the body and whatnot. I can just hot glue it, or not hot glue, but I can glue it down. But I want to have the ability for it to be removable and whatnot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a wooden dowel. I'm probably going to be using this one right here. So what I need to do is I need to get the proper dimensions, do a test print to see if those dimensions work and whatnot. That way so it's nice and snug, but not too snug and whatnot. And then once I make certain the dimensions are exactly what I need them to be, then I can figure out how long I actually want the dowel to be. And of course, where exactly in space of the model is actually going to be placed. So I'm going to do a separate work, or I'm going to work on it on a separate instance of Blender. And I'll come back with the more or less result that I came up with. Alright, and here is the test print I'm going to be using. It's a simple cube with a hole that's a small fraction of the millimeter bigger than the wooden dowel itself, to where it'll hopefully be just a fairly snug fit, but nothing too crazy. So it's going to take about 20 minutes to print, and that's because I got to also do the bed leveling. But at that point, I actually should just be using my Centauri Carbon for these like simple test prints. That way, so I don't have to do like the auto bed leveling and whatnot. So I'm actually going to get the Centauri set up. So I'll come back when I get the Centauri done printing this. Interestingly enough, an Orca slicer, apparently it's going to take about 18 minutes. And I don't do any of that bed leveling and whatnot. So either way, I'm still going to use the Centauri for these like test prints and whatnot. That way so I can let the P1S just sit and do nothing and not be used until it's absolutely necessary. So I'll come back in about 18 minutes. Alright, I got my headphones on, but hopefully I'll be able to still talk at a normal volume. With that said, as you can see, it does technically fit, but it's way too tight. And one of the reasons why I don't use the Centauri Carbon is because of elephant's foot, this right here. Now I am using the textured PEI plate and not the other side, but even on the smooth side, it still has elephant's foot, unfortunately. I tried doing a little bit of looking to see if there's some way to fix this. Surprisingly, there's nothing online that I can find that can actually tell me how to resolve this, other than just like the standard level the bed and everything else, which has already been done, but it's just unfortunately part of the Centauri. But with that said, I'm going to add like instead, it's currently at just 0.1. I'm going to set it to 0.5 and do a reprint and see how that fits and whatnot. Quick update on the test cubes. I'm having to print now on my P1S because I just remembered that the Centauri Carbon and the P1S, even though they're 3D printers of the exact same build volume and whatnot, they will print ever so slightly differently. And well, these cubes, even though this one right here, which I believe is at 15.5, is that nice snug fit. If I go to print this exact same cube on my P1S, it is too snug. So now I'm doing at least another 2 prints. I already did one previously where I went to a 16 mil, when this is again at 15.1 mil. So 16 mil is too loose and whatnot on the P1S. This one again is too tight on the P1S. So now what I'm doing is I'm cutting it in half again. I'm now going to 15.7 mil, and maybe that will finally work. So I'll come back in 12 minutes. Alright, some time has passed now, probably like a week or so. I'm just being really lazy. Either way, I got the wooden dowel more or less situated. As you can see, I have it going down fairly far into the body and fairly up into the head. That way, so it has a good chunk of an anchor and whatnot, and also for structural load and whatnot. And that's because of how the hair is designed. There's going to be a lot of structural load going basically down this way and down this way. So I need to make sure that all the forces that this dowel is going to be going through and whatnot are going to be properly distributed. So that's why I have it going down as far as I do in the upper torso, and of course in her head and whatnot. So with that said, now I just need to figure out how much I can actually hollow out from the head and how much I can hollow out from the upper torso without just structurally compromising the wooden dowel and whatnot. I'll figure something out, but for now, this is currently where I'm at. And when it comes to actually starting the printer off, I'm not going to do that for a little while longer because I'm waiting for all this crappy cold weather to go away. So for now, this is currently where I'm at with Phrolova, but I'll come back in a little while when necessary. The last thing on my mind when it comes to documenting the process of printing off my Phrolova model is playing this Japanese video game. And by video game, I think we all know what I'm talking about. But either way, let me don my VR headset. As you can see, I have a more or less one-for-one recreation of Phrolova in this game. But with that said, this one did serve a purpose, and it's going to serve another purpose. The first thing it served was she came with her violin weapon. That was one of the things I was wanting to print alongside my life-size Phrolova. And thanks to this Phrolova being in, well, this game, I was able to actually get her weapon violin. And the next one, which is the big one for me, is when either I or someone locally gets around to eventually, hopefully, properly painting my Phrolova, making sure she looks exactly as she should be, I or that person can load up this game, put a VR headset on, and fully walk around her in 3D space, making sure that as me or that person is getting her properly painted and everything else, that we're getting every single piece as accurately colored as physically possible. So that's the second thing this model is going to allow me to do. And on top of that, another thing that this model will let me do is I can do this to her. For those that play Wuthering Waves, you will know exactly what happens if you get this close up with the camera to your model, to the characters and whatnot. They go invisible. In this game, since it's a Japanese video game, she doesn't go invisible. So we can get up super close and make sure we're getting everything as accurate as possible. So here's where the censorship that Wuthering Waves gets into play, and why, yes, I can load her up in Wuthering Waves, why the censorship will still fuck with me when it fucked with me, or whoever's doing the coloring and whatnot, why it will just mess with us. So, for instance, right here, her skirt right here is black, but if you go like this, you can actually see on the back side of her skirt, it's like an orangish red, and there's like this weird little piece right here, and I want to make sure, even though that piece right there is like very small instrument and doesn't really mean anything, I want to make sure everything is accurate as possible. And thanks to their censorship that they do in Wuthering Waves, I would have never known that the back side of her skirt is reddish orange. And then on top of that is these bands around her legs right here. I did not notice these little etch marks, or whatever we want to call them, right here. Again, because of their censorship. You get too close, the model disappears. So I will never seen this. And apparently the little stripes right here, they go all the way up to there. And apparently they even go all the way up to there on her butt. I will not notice that. I never noticed that because, again, it's censored. You get too close, everything just disappears. And yet with this, you can get up as close as you want. Even do this, and she doesn't disappear. So that's what this model is going to do also for me. It's going to allow me, again, or the person that's going to be doing the painting for me, to make sure we get everything as accurate as possible. And the third thing that this model is going to do for me and for a lot and whatnot is a big thing for those people that love Phrolova like I do. I get to do this. I know it's cringe, but the people that love Phrolova like me, they want to do this to Phrolova. Lord knows I fucking want to. She did nothing wrong and she deserves the world. This is something we all want to do to Phrolova if we love Phrolova. Of course, that's the third and final thing this Phrolova model will grant me. It will grant me nothing else because I'll never do anything else to Phrolova. Even though this is a Japanese video game, this really isn't Phrolova real, but still, I ain't going to do nothing more than this. But either way, there is one more thing I do want to show off, and I do apologize for this part of the video being as long as it is, but alongside the normal red version of her outfit, I do this, this, and this. You can now see I even have that one outfit that's only used once for Phrolova. It's their blacked out outfit. I would personally like to print or color this one in. The only reason why I don't do that is because of her little eye band right here. If I don't want to touch her by accident. As you can see, this eye band is a lot more intricate and a lot more complicated than their current one. So the model maker will just have to go in there and just redo the band, which probably wouldn't be that difficult to do. But again, for me, it's not really necessary. But the nice thing is that due to the way I'm putting this model together, her head will pop off. So if they do make a second model with this band, it wouldn't be that difficult to swap it out. But then, of course, I also have to commit to the black version of her outfit, which again, I wouldn't mind doing. But again, there are options if that ever does happen. But again, either way, I'm very happy with this model and whatnot. And one other thing I just noticed actually is her fingernails are apparently green in this outfit, which is something I did not notice throughout the cutscenes with her when it came to this particular outfit of hers. So again, I'm able to notice things that I was never able to notice in Wuthering Waves because either they're just way too small or again, stupid censorship. But yeah, this is again not exactly what I was planning on doing when it came to documenting the process of 3D printing my Phrolova, but either way, at least I now have something for really making sure everything for my Phrolova model is as accurate as it can be. I have no idea how to properly pronounce it. I think it's Leviathan something. I don't know how to properly pronounce it, but either way, I now have her weapon violin. And it's not the little itty bitty thing on her shoulder. I scaled it about as well as I can, like I mentioned before. In total, this is going to be about 25 inches in length. And I scaled it to be more or less about on par with the violin she's currently having in her hand. Now you may note that the placements are slightly different. And that's because I wanted to place her hand in here. And then, of course, if I did that, it more properly aligns up where the bow actually sits on a real violin. So at the very least, it seems like 25 inches is about the sweet spot to have this violin be life-sized with her and whatnot. Now, with that said, this one isn't going to be the one that I actually print off because it's a whole jumble mess in its own right. Here it is right here in its unmodified state and whatnot. And you can see there are a bunch of little entities that I need to go through and unionize into individual pieces. Like for instance, the neck right here, it's its own bunch of individual little pieces. So I need to go and make sure that I unionize all these neck parts. That way so the neck can be one fully printed piece. I need to unionize these little guys right here because again, it's going to be a lot of work to make sure everything's properly set up. And when it comes to this piece right here, I'm probably just going to divide it between, or actually I'm probably just going to boolean this to this. That way so this becomes two separate pieces. It looks like it'll be able to be separate pieces and whatnot. When it comes to actually doing all this, I'll probably do it off camera, or I'll do like a few little bits of it just showing generally what I'm doing, but do the majority of it off camera because, well, it is going to take an incredibly long amount of time to go through all these parts and making sure I get everything actually done properly. So since it's going to be a little while before I actually upload another video for Phrolova, I'm actually going to edit this video as is and upload it as is. And it'll be part 2, and then part 3 will be in a few weeks, I think. Don't hold me to it, but I want to try and get part 3 out in a few weeks. I'll try and keep to that schedule, but I never kept the schedule in the first place. But I want to try and keep at least a few people that are interested in watching this process play out somewhat given an idea of when the next upload will be. So with that said, I'll stop the video here, edit it together, and then upload it.